to Ayo and Jess?
They look so happy together. But again, I think with them, they're similar to us in the sense of whenever they have problems, they deal with it in private.
But would that have happened if a certain someone stayed loyal in Winker?
So, if you've been here, we know, if I love someone or if I support someone, not that I don't call them out. I call a spade a spade. So if they're wrong, I will call them out. But if I support someone, then I support them wholeheartedly. And so because I've seen some of the comments online, at times it makes my head hurt. It makes my head hurt because I don't know whether people are so gullible that they're just shown one line and they eat it up as though that's the only thing that's been said. So I've decided to do sort of a review of the votes, the conversations that we have, a reasoning as to why people probably chose the couples that they chose, and also my predictions for who is likely to go home. So let's go. Hey there, it's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. So I'm going to be reviewing the voting from the last episode that we saw on Friday, and I'll give my reasoning as to why I think couples chose who they chose, and then we'll do our predictions. I wish I could have arranged in time to go live. I would have loved to have done a live of today and Monday, but it's a bit too late, so I'll review as I normally do. Today we're going to try and make it make sense because I think people are just being sort of glossed over. They're not taking time to reflect and sort of analyze stuff because there is a common theme with Love Island. There is a common theme in how certain people are portrayed. And if you go back a couple of seasons, I know I've only been watching since season 8, you can see this clearly, that there is a theme that there's certain groups of people that are projected negatively, and then there are some that are projected so positively, irregardless of how bad they are. So let us take note of that, and let us not just sort of jump at every small thing that we see, because this is what the producers are after. They're after getting a reaction from people, and as soon as they get that reaction, they blow it up. And this mess that they're doing with Mimi, Ayo, Josh, and Jess is wrong, completely wrong. It seems like they're trying to get one of the two couples eliminated, and they're going to do that by tarnishing their images and sort of painting them in a light whereby people will end up having to take sides, and in taking sides, one of the two couples will get eliminated, and the couple that's left standing will never win because they've been tarnished so much that people can't stand them and don't want to vote for them because the producers seem to have their favorites, which is Sean and Matilda, or they know that the Welsh community is more likely to vote for Ciaran and Nicole, so they're trying to get their own favorites to get on board with it. Oh my god. So I've decided to do this thing, and so I'm going to start by just at a glance looking at the couples. So who shall I start with? Ciaran. I like Ciaran. I like Ciaran. Yeah, I didn't agree with the comments he made to Harriet when they were at the fire pit and Harriet cried and whatever, but still, I like him. How he came about to be in a couple with Nicole was a bit dodgy, in the sense that yes, he didn't pick Harriet at the jump, but they were matched as least likely to be boyfriend and girlfriend material. So for him to then switch over and decide to go to Nicole, and then whatever happened with Nicole, do I think they're a good couple? I've heard that apparently Nicole has been portrayed differently to how she is from people like Ronnie. So going by what I see, Ciaran and Nicole have a lot of issues. They have a lot of issues. They have a lot of trust issues. Nicole comes with a lot of baggage that Ciaran will have to help her to offload. Otherwise, in the real world, they're going to struggle, especially has trust issues when it comes to rugby players. But I think that's their main issue. Do I think they like each other? Yeah. Do I think they're very passionate about each other? Yeah. Do I also have questions as to how genuine it is? Maybe. Is all I can say. Next up, we have Ayo and Jess. According to the girls from Casa, Jess and Ayo just drew to each other like magnets, and then from there they wouldn't separate. Apparently, the producers used to struggle to keep them apart. I think, this is what I think, Yeah, I liked him with Mimi when they started, because obviously they were going to be each other's type, because I doubt any of the other people had dated outside of their races. So when Ayo moved to Jess, I didn't like his journey. Or up until Jess, I didn't like Ayo's journey, in the sense that he was with Mimi, and then as soon as Uma came, he turned left and he went to Uma, and then Mimi had to sort of redirect him by stealing him back from Uma, and then he was with Mimi and he was with Mimi. Mimi was always consistent. She always was sure about him, and even when she went on dates with other guys, she would still come back to him. So when he got to Casa and then he behaved the way he behaved, I was furious. I was furious because I didn't think that was acceptable. And even for him to sort of try and not take ownership of his mistakes and not to apologize, that I didn't like. I think with Jess, they've grown on me over time, but I didn't like how they came to be. And I didn't like the fact that it seemed at one point that Mimi was having to put her emotions and her feelings aside to try and pacify or to try and comfort Jess, because every other minute Jess would come, Mimi, I'm sorry. And then Mimi has to sort of get out of her grief, like taking off your clothes, and sort of try and reassure this person and then go back and embrace her grief, which wasn't her place. So that were some of the things that sort of put me off them. And I think with time and also with mentoring or with seeing people around him, Ayo has grown. I can say that. He seems to be more steady in his relationship, in the sense that Jess is someone who will not let him get away with stuff. She will hold his feet to the fire when he's wrong. And so him having to take accountability, him have to take responsibility has changed him to be the man that he is. Because with Mimi, he just used to walk all over her up until Casa when she said, I'm done. Because when he was with Uma and there was that love triangle and stuff, Mimi would just take a step back and just allow everybody else to play in her face. Whereas with Jess, she doesn't allow that. So I think this is the best match for him. Going on to Mimi. I think Mimi, there's a reason why the guys voted her girlfriend material on day one. There is a reason. I think she has this aura that she comes with that you can't help but love and respect. And so this is why the guys were sort of taken by her and chose her to be the most likely to be girlfriend material. Obviously, she coupled up with Ayo. And I think for her, she thought Ayo was the guy that she wanted. I think she thought he was the guy that she needed and the guy that she wanted. And he was the only guy that was there on day one. I don't know what would have happened had they been two black guys, whether she would have still gone for Ayo or whether it was a convenient connection. So with Ayo, because she was with Manuver really switched it off immediately and told her, this is not it. Which is okay, but I didn't like the way he handled that situation. So Mimi being in a couple with Ayo and being treated and allowing Ayo to treat her the way she did, I didn't like. Because for him to play in her face and then go to Uma and do whatever he's doing and wanted to sit and wait on the bench until he was ready to come back for her, that I didn't like. I know she went on a date with Oma. I think with Oma, yeah, she liked him as a person, but I don't think there was a romantic click. She went on a date with Connor. I think there wasn't a romantic click. In Casa, I know Lionel was really interested in her, but there was no romantic click. And I don't know whether what's his name, Mosiah or Blade even glanced at her, or they were just focused on Grace. So coming back to the villa and sort of seeing what she saw was really hard for a lot of people, not just her family or friends, but it was hard for viewers as well. So having someone like Josh come in and saying that he's come in, because from the moment they sit down at the table, you see the way he's eyeing her, and she can feel it that something is not right. Because I love the fact that when the girls were going for the date, you had Jess. Yes, we all didn't like Jess, OG, but she actually told the girls that whoever Mimi likes, Mimi gets. Everybody else has to take a back seat. Because at the end of the day, she is number one priority. Everybody else is number two, number three, number four, or whatever. But whoever Mimi likes, Mimi gets. So when they went for the date, I think the same thing happened in the sense that she led the girls in. And so in so doing, at first sight, we know Josh really liked her. He did say he was sort of sad watching her go through whatever she went through. And so I think the next day when he came and stole her from Blade, he had already come up with a plan. Whether he had spoken about it with his right hand, Ruben, or whatever, his plan worked because the way he was able to sort of swoop her she was taken aback. I think she was so shaken. She didn't know what was happening until maybe at recoupling. Because he really was the guy that she wanted, because she told him, I remember when she had her final conversation at the fire pit on the day of recoupling, she told Ayo that I want someone who will prioritize me. I want someone who will see my worth. And Josh came in with that. And so setting up the little date in the hideaway, I've always wondered why he took her to the hideaway. And part of me believes that he knew that he wasn't the only person interested in Mimi. And he knew that people like Ayo would be watching to want to see what's going on, let alone the whole other minions in the villa. And so he wanted the privacy to put on his game without anybody looking. And he wanted Mimi to be so relaxed that she wouldn't sort of be restraining herself because of other people's. So for him to kiss her on the bench and then to kiss her in the jacuzzi, I think it's things that she was not planning on, because we all heard her tell Ayo that I'm even sad that I let you know me like that. So coming from that to her suddenly doing this, she was taken aback. Even when she was debriefing to the girls, you could see that she was shooketh to the core. And so him, I think, was never interested in anyone, as much as we were told that, Josh was interested in Grace. Because even when Grace pulled him for a chat after his, hideaway date with Mimi, he was actually taken aback, because she said, can we go for a chat the first time? And then she had to repeat it for him to sort of say, oh, okay. And when they went, she was complimenting him. He didn't compliment her. She said, you look very beautiful. And he said, thank you. He didn't say, so do you. I would have expected him to say, so do you. And I don't think he said anything that was inappropriate, because to him, his mind was already made up as to who he was going after. Because had he said anything else, we would have been shown the clips. But we weren't shown anything, which leads me to believe that his mind was always made up that it was going to be Mimi. Because even after he coupled up with Mimi and they were sitting in the den, and Mimi was like, I didn't know what you're going to do. And he said, well, the moment we kissed, I knew. So he knew from then, and he's done everything and anything to make sure that, he's all in on Mimi. And I'm happy for her, because she's finally, I think her family coming in was the reassurance that she needed to say, okay, we approve. Even he said he was a bit worried about whether they had the same beliefs and the same values, and sitting down with her family sort of reassured him in that regard. So I am happy that they are where they are. Do I want them to win? Yes, it would be nice to have a black couple win, but I want them to succeed more as a couple than anything else. And I have a feeling that there's no way, because Mimi has been the face of Love Island 2024. So there's no way they're sending her home, because if they send her home, people are going to raise hell, because people have already complained to Ofcom about the way Mimi and Josh have been treated, let alone Ayo and Jess. And I think Ayo and Jess, because of this drama with the Josh, Mimi, Ayo, Jess situation being sort of pushed into the forefront by Joey and Sean, I think Ayo and Jess have suddenly found themselves in the final. Because they are part of the same complaint that has been made, and I don't think the producers would want to send them home. I don't think so. So I have a feeling they'll make the final four. Whether they'll make the top three, Ayo and Jess, I don't know. But I know for a fact they're going to make the top four. And then we have Sean and Matilda. Sean, what do I think? Sean, I think, was playing a character. I think he came into the villa wanting to be the dopey guy who doesn't know what he's doing. I think he came in wanting to be Bergie. If you've watched Love Island USA last season, there was that little boy who the girls had to teach to kiss. The same thing the girls did with Sean. The only difference is with Bergie, because he was original, he didn't start becoming, I am the man. He just remained who he was. Whereas Sean, the girls taught him how to flirt. They taught him how to kiss. And then when it came a kissing challenge, it started talking a lot of nonsense, telling them that your tongue was poking me, I'll give you a 2, I'll give you a 3, forgetting that he didn't know what he was doing until all these girls trained him how to kiss. And so I think Sean, I don't think he's ever had a romantic connection with anyone, including his current connection with Matilda. I think it's friendship. I don't think it's romantic, because he wanted Harriet. It didn't work out. He wanted Jess. It didn't work out. He then got Matilda after he kicked out Oma, and then he He had the two girls in Casa, and then he went back to Matilda. I think because he knew Matilda was a sure thing for him. And Matilda, having lost Oma, I think realized that Sean was going to be it for her. And in order to stay in the villa, this is where she was going to stay. And she's decided to stay there until the very end. That's my opinion of that connection, because I don't think it's anything sort of romantic that would lie to one another and say, oh, there is something romantic there. No, he told her he loved her because it was convenient for him and because he knew the viewers would want to hear that. Because after Casa, if you remember, when they fell out, he sort of said, oh, it's time for us to move on. You know, the people would want us to move on. So all his actions have been so that he gets in the fans' good books, have been so that he gets to the end and he wins. Even him kicking out Oma was so that he could get a connection with Matilda, because the choices were restricted. And this is what Ciaran was mad about, that you can't take someone out so that you can win. Go by your own merits. And so I feel like that connection is not going to survive in the real world. If it does, it's because they see that there's value in them. If it does, then it means that they see value in them staying as a couple than anything. And then Joey Essex. Joey Essex, I don't even know why he agreed to come to Love Island. I don't know how much ITV paid him in order to come to Love Island, because it was a very bad move on his part, in my opinion. That's what I'm going to say. It was a very bad move on his part, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect him financially. Do I think it will affect him long term? I don't think so. I think at the moment, it's going to be a teachable moment for him. It's going to be a teachable moment because of the backlash he's going to face, the backlash he didn't expect to face. He thought he could get away with anything, and yet he didn't realize that the person that he was going after was very loved. And sadly, as much as he has a fan base, and this is an amateur, that person somehow, by just being themselves, they've managed to outshine him. And I think he knows it, because you see every time Mimi gets upset with him, he smiles and he's got this cheeky smile and he knows he's gone overboard, and he tries to sort of rail it in and sort of get in a good graces. Because I think Joey came in with ITV agreeing with him that he would stay past a certain point, or ITV assuring him that you'd stay past a certain point. And so when he came in, he chose Samantha because he knew there was no romantic connection there. He knew there was nothing there. And I think with time, the more fangirly she became, the more scared he became, because when she was repeating scenes from his show and whatever else she was saying, I think he must have gone to the producers and said, no, this is not it. And this is why they brought in Grace. Sadly, when they brought in Grace, his excitement caused him to behave in a way that sort of backlashed towards him. And the way he suddenly ignored Samantha and pretended like she didn't exist, the way he was busy having sex in the hideaway, everything else, I think this is the reason why, he questioned this connection with Grace. Do I think in an ideal world you would have wanted to break up with Grace? No, I don't think so. But I think because of that backlash and the negativity that came from that, this is why he then decided to move on to Jessie with a Y, because he realized that the transition, people already didn't like Grace because of the fact that she had broken up Joey and Samantha. And so he knew that by breaking up with her, none of the heat would come on him. And had he stayed with Jessie with a Y and left the 4 black people alone, I think he would have been fine to ride it to the end. But sadly, because of the fallout from that, I have a feeling he's the one who's going home today. Out of the 5, he's going to be the first person. I think if there's a second person, it might be Sean. But if it's a first-person basis, then he is going home with Jessie. Because his plan was to stay till the end, and he was looking for someone who was neutral, who the viewers would like and allow him to stay to the end with. But sadly, Jess has showed her ass recently with the comments, the patronizing way she's spoken to Josh. That has rubbed people, myself especially, the wrong way. And I think this is why he's going to be sent home. Not only that, because they're bringing up most of the eliminated islanders, he's going to be sent home. One, he kicked out Sam so that he could stay. And then he kicked out Samantha so that he could be with Grace. And then Oma was kicked out after he had a fallout with Oma. So all the beef, he's had issues with Connor. He's had issues with Blade. That's already 5 people. We're still counting. He caused a lot of issues between Harriet and Ciaran, 6, although Harriet is friends with him. So at least 5 to 7 people are going to want him gone. And the rest, I'm going to probably think that, oh, he's a celebrity, doesn't need to be here. So sadly, as much as Jess thought this was a good idea to couple up with Joey, I don't think it was. I really don't think it was. So with the couples that were nominated, what do I think? I think a lot of things played a part. I think it was strategy, it was gameplay, it was friendship, and it was just a lot of history, be it drama in regards those that were fighting and everybody else. I think this all played a part in who people chose. You have Joey and Jesse. Joey and Jesse for me are a bit muddling because Joey is the one who brought up the secret mission and has pushed the secret mission to the forefront to try and get a reaction out of Josh. And for him to be fighting for them doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because we have Jessie adamant that she wants them to be nominated irregardless of what happens. I feel like Jessie's adamant because she is friends with Grace, and so she's unhappy that Josh didn't leave Mimi for Grace. And so because of that, this is why she wants them nominated, because there's no other justifiable reason as to why. They haven't been in the bottom, they haven't instigated any fights, they haven't, moved from themselves to anyone else. Even the secret mission was something that Joey brought up without sort of Jessie on her own consulting Mimi to find out exactly what happened. Irregardless, it's nothing to do with her. So I think that was a strategy call. And then with Sean and Matilda, I think they were scapegoats for Joey and Jessie. I think Joey and Jessie knew they were going to be vulnerable, so they decided to take a couple that they thought the other couples would hate more than them. And so this is why they nominated Matilda and Sean, in my opinion, because there's no other reason why they would vote for people that have been friends to them when everybody else hasn't wanted to talk to them. There's no other reason why they would vote for someone that they've sort of manipulated into doing whatever they wanted that person to do. So it doesn't make sense. With, Ayo and Jess. Ayo and Jess, for me, wasn't proper. It wasn't gameplay, in my opinion. I think part of it, actually, even friendship didn't come into play for Aaron Jess. I think Aaron Jess looked at the couples there and sort of saw through the muck and decided to go with who they felt were the least genuine couples. Because even Josh had discussed this with Mimi about least genuine couples. So them voting for Joey and Jessie, when Joey is Ayo's closest friend and Jessie is, Jess's closest friend, shows me that they decided to go for what they felt was the right choice. And I agree with that Joey deserved to be nominated. He doesn't deserve to win the 50K. He's got enough money. It's time for him to go home. ITV have paid him. He's done his service. It's time for him to go home. He doesn't need the 50K. For them choosing Sean and Matilda, that's the truth. Their reason actually made sense because they both agree that their relationship, appears one-sided. Appears that Matilda is just managing Sean until they leave because he is annoying her and they can see that he's getting on her nerves. So this is why they nominated her. Do I agree? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think it makes sense. And then Nicole and Ciaran, this is where friendship came into play because Nicole is friends with Mimi. She's friends with Matilda. And so Nicole went to bat for Mimi because she's very close friends with Mimi. And I have to agree with her. Because they nominated Joey and Jess. Do I agree? Yes, that's a given. They don't get along. And besides, everybody knows that Joey has been manipulating people to get the drama up and to get whatever he wanted. So I am not surprised that they chose them. In regards, Ayo and Jess against Mimi and Josh, I feel like Nicole was right. Not only to back her friend, but also to say that Ayo has moved mad. He went from Mimi to Uma, back to Mimi, then to Jess. So her reasoning that if any other girl that's his type has come in, there's nothing stopping him from having his head turned because his head has already been turned several times. Whereas with Mimi, her head hasn't been turned. The reason she's with Josh is because things didn't work out with Ayo. And so for Ciaran to say, well, the only reason Mimi is with Josh is because, Ayo's head was turned. Yeah. So she found a person that came in that wanted her and she went with that person and stuck with that person. That's it. What did he expect her to do? To pack her bags and go home because Ayo's head is turned? I think of the two couples, Ayo was and Jess sadly were the better option. I would have loved them to vote for Matilda and and Sean, but I think because Matilda is friends with Nicole, I think Nicole was able to go to bat for her friends, and so that meant that people like Sean skated by. Otherwise, had Matilda not been friends with Nicole and Mimi, she would have been part of their nomination. That's just my opinion. And then with Sean and Matilda are so predictable. So predictable, because not even friendship could stand in the way, because you have Mimi and you have Nicole going to bat for Matilda and saying Matilda is not the problem in the relationship, so we can't nominate them because her partner is a jackass. That's unacceptable. We have to do what is right, and we have to nominate people that we feel are not compatible. And Matilda, sadly, it's not her fault, it's Sean's fault. Whereas for Sean and Matilda to use the excuse on Mimi and Josh that they don't display a lot of PDA. PDA does not equate compatibility. PDA does not dictate compatibility. Neither does it dictate that the couple is going to work. People can have PDA but still not be functional. So that excuse sadly doesn't fly, and to use that as rationale as to why they nominated Mimi and Josh, I do not buy it. Sean just wanted the two black couples out and he got his way. And for them to sort of say, oh, Mimi, Josh, Ayo and Jess are the couples that had the most problems recently, it's like, seriously, do you have amnesia? How much stuff has Joey done? How many girls has he been through? How much drama has he caused in the villa that has made people cry, has upset people? So for you to think that it's acceptable doesn't make sense. So even Mimi and Jess agreed that no matter what Joey does, Jess Wutherwise is always going to back him, whether he's right or wrong, which shouldn't be in a couple. So I don't get why Sean and Matilda decided to vote these two couples outside of the obvious. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it's a duck. With Josh and Mimi, I don't get why they're getting, this vim from the public, why they're getting the backlash. I think the producers were strategic because they knew that they would have to have a controversial vote. And sadly, Mimi and Josh stepped into it. They stepped into it. This is why they are in the situation where they are at, because the producers knew that they would get a reaction from the viewers had they shown Mimi and Josh making a controversial vote. Because at the end of the day, they had nice things to say about Ayo and Jess. They said, they're just like us. Whatever issues they have, they settle them in private. They understand that not all couples are going to be PDA couples. They didn't call them out for that. I remember in their conversations, they spoke about the least compatible couples that I heard them talk about, and the bottom two couples. So I have a feeling the reason why they picked Joey and Jess is because they were part of the least compatible couples, and Joey has really disrespected their relationship to the core. So them voting, whether it was for vengeance or whatever, I don't care. They needed to vote for them. Ayo and Jess, sadly, were in a situation whereby Mimi is friends with Matilda, Mimi is friends with Nicole. So because she's already nominated Jess and Joey, that only leaves Ayo and Jess. If she doesn't nominate Ayo and Jess, that means she would need to nominate Matilda and Sean. And so I feel like because Matilda and Nicole with Uma were part of the group that were responsible for holding Mimi down when she was crying with Jess that went home OG, she couldn't bring herself to say, okay, no, let's nominate them. Because she actually advocated for them and actually told Josh that the problem with Matilda and Sean is not Matilda, it's Sean. And yes, maybe it's a good idea that they should have voted them out, but still, she was stuck in between choosing a friend and an ex. That's where she was. And I think they decided to go with her ex, not because of race, not because of anything else, but because that was the situation. She was never going to vote Nicole because with Nicole, they're best friends. So Nicole went to bat for her. She went to bat for Nicole. So Nicole was already out of the equation, which left three couples. Of the three couples, once she took out Joey and Jesse, she had to make a choice between the two. As much as she doesn't agree with what Sean was doing, I think they felt that it was better to go with Ayo and Jess. I think they felt it was better to go with Ayo and Jess, which is really sad. But that was the choice they had. I wonder what would have happened had they had another couple, had they still had, even if Ruben was there, there's no way they were going to vote for Ruben and Grace just because Ruben is Josh's best friend. So I think they were loyal. That's their problem. They are very loyal people. So they were loyal to their friends and they nominated people that, yes, they're now friendly with Ayo, but the problem is, I think the friendship with Matilda trumped whatever relationship they have with Ayo and Jess. which is really sad, but that's the nature of the beast. And so, who do I think is going home? I think Joey and Jess are going home. I think because they've aggravated most of the initial islanders that were eliminated, that no one can stand them. So I think they're going to go home. Do I think the producers are going to want to eliminate Ayo and Jess? No. Because if they eliminate them, there's this complaints with Ofcom, and that is going to play a part whereby people are going to say, we told you they encouraged racist behavior, and look, now they're eliminating the black couple. Do I think they're going to eliminate Mimi and Josh? No, I don't. Because Mimi and Josh, there's been a lot of complaints made on their heads. They've run this show on Mimi's head, in the sense that wherever they wanted a reaction from people, they've made sure that they gave Mimi this edit that would infuriate the people. And because people are not reflective or analytical, they just take it as it is and they run with it, forgetting that Mimi was saying all these nice things about Ayo and Jess before they were nominated. No, people have focused on the why did you nominate them, and not the reason behind why they were nominated. And I have a feeling that today we're going to find out that actually there's actually a valid reason as to why they picked them. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I can't wait. I really can't wait. I want to see what the finale looks like. So I will be reviewing as soon as I can. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 47. Bye guys.